Good afternoon, everyone. Now, one comparative analysis of the different kind of landforms is what is the major work in the glacial landforms? Who is the major agent of erosion? Wind, water, water by the process of weathering. Which weathering? Generally chemical weathering. And chemical weathering में कौन सा process है mostly? Solution या carbonation? Carbonation. It is mostly a carbonation. That is a kind of an weathering solution only, but specific to the limestone rich rocks is known as carbonation. Fluvial landforms, if you remember, they work by the process of solution, by the process of abrasion or corrosion, by the process of hydraulic action, and by the process of attrition. You know what is solution? Dissolve in water. You know what is abrasion? When the rocks will either erode the sides or the banks. You know what is hydraulic action? When the rocks are carried away. And you know what is attrition? When the rocks rub against themselves and they become very, very small. That is what is known as an attrition. Lastly, we have the glacial landforms, which we are going to start today, and the desert landforms. These two landforms. In May, the major work of a glacier will be abrasion. Second, not an hydraulic action, but by the process of plucking. And by the process of striations or scratching. Striations or scratching. Abrasion again same like this, rubbing, plucking, hydraulic action jaisa, that is some of the rocks will be plucked, will be broken and will be carried. Striation means it is more like a abrasion only, jahan pe the beds are scratched. If the beds of the resistant rock is there, as the glacier is moving, it will keep on scratching, and thus on the rocks, as per the movement of the glacier, aise scratches aayenge on the rocks. Not very deep, very fine scratches you will find in the rocks. This indicates the movement of an glacier. Fine. Desert mein will solution be there? No. Yahan pe there will be abrasion. But because wind is there, this abrasion is limited very near to the ground. And this abrasion, which is very limited, very near to the ground, because air cannot lift, turns a big stone, a proper rounded stone, into a mushroom rock. Why only the lower layers of the rocks are getting eroded or abraded? Mushroom rock कैसे बनता है? due to the abrasion of the lower layers. Then the second way of weathering is attrition. That is, the particles in the sand will rub against themselves and they will become smaller and smaller. Fine. And third way of weathering is deflation. Deflation, when the wind blows out sand particles, resulting into, if this is a region which is having sand at the top and a rock at the bottom, wind is blowing out, and as a result ऐसा गड्ढा बनेगा, and this is what is known as an process of deflation. Why these things are different? Give me a past year question booklet. Why these things are different? Why each and every process is different in different things? Glacier ka process is slightly different from the wind, water ka process is slightly different from the wind ka process is different from this thing. Why it is? Because agents are different. किसी इसमें water is there, किसी इसमें wind is there, किसी में glacier is there. Are they same in the terms of properties of matter? No. One is in the liquid state, one is in the gaseous state, one is in the solid state, and therefore उनका landforms will be different. Why I have discussed you? जैसे हम ये topic पूरा discuss करेंगे, you should know the simple landforms also, but you should also know question number 42 or 11, question number 2011, year 2011, question number 2A. Year 2011, question number 2A. What is the question? Can someone read out? Compare.
Name the climatically controlled agents of erosion.
So stop here. Name the climatically controlled agents of erosion. What are the climatically controlled agents of erosion? Glacial, fluvial, karst. Fluvial ही है, but थोड़ा process is different, and the winds. Yes, these are the three climatically controlled agents of erosion. आगे.
Explain how they differ in terms of properties of matter.
So explain how they differ in the terms of properties of matter. One is solid, and therefore the processes that it will be acting is this. One is liquid, therefore the processes is this. But in the normal rocks, solution. In the carbonate rocks, carbonation. Getting it? And this is the how it is different in the terms of matter, and therefore these are the processes that will be acting. Yes, आगे.
Compare the landforms produced by each one of them.
Compare the landforms produced by each one of them. Landforms तो हम पढ़ ही रहे हैं, but you can compare any of the landforms. Getting it? Fine? Easy? So कल का chapter, that is in the last cast chapter, fluvial topography, you can understand this question. This question has asked you a basic understanding of entire half part of our syllabus. Right? Whether you understand the fluvial topography, whether you understand the glacial topography or karst topography, they have asked you the half part of our syllabus. जैसे जैसे हम glacial landforms discuss करेंगे, you should keep this question in mind. Getting it? Then question number 48, that is 2012 ka, again question 4A. Characteristics of the standard epigean cycle of erosion. What do you mean by epigean cycle of erosion? Epigean means king. Fine, that is nothing but in the semi-arid regions. The same question has been repeated, but with a slightly different language. They have asked you question number 15, year 15, question number 1A and 10 marks में, that is attempt the classification of geomorphic processes from the zonal point of view. That means it is nothing but geomorphic processes from climate based point of view. The answer is same. Only thing is कि the answer has to be very short. 2011 में the question is of 30 marks, 2015 में the question is of 10 marks. And today we will understand what is the basket of egg topography, 150 words. नहीं, erosion surfaces क्या है? Peneplain, pediplain, panplain, that is erosion surfaces. That is what is the concept of an erosion surfaces. Fine. Glacial, periglacial थोड़े tough है. Desert again is very very easy. So glacial landforms, two things. एक तो जो अपना again handout, once we finish all these things, अभी जानबूझ के नहीं दे रहा हूँ because you should know first what is happening in the class. Handout is secondary. Handout से पहले in the periglacial I'll give you again the xerox of this booklet. That is you should know what are things in this books also. Pleistocene ice age का impact क्या है etc. in the this thing. But उससे पहले first our class discussion pe notes. I will say discussion because I am not going to dictate much of the things in this part. Fine. So when we say glacial, there are three concepts. One is the ice caps, one is the ice sheet, and the third is the continental glaciers. Or the continental glaciers can be even the mountain glaciers or the Piedmont glaciers. Now, can someone tell me what is the difference between this? All this combined is known as the region which is very very cold, and this is what is known as an cryosphere. That is the colder regions of the world. Your GS question also, your optional question also. Optional ka question which came as it is in GS. The importance of the cryosphere on the world climatic regions. These are the cryosphere. Cryo means cold and sphere means area. Cryogenic technology, which uses extremely cold climates. Getting it? So can you someone tell me what is the difference between ice caps and ice sheets? No. It is just of the size. If it is greater than, it is ice sheet. If it is lesser than square kilometers in area, it is an ice cap. Ice sheets are found only at certain places in the world, that is Arctic, Antarctic, and to some extent Greenland. Ice caps are found at many places in the world. For example, Iceland or Greenland or Canada or Russia. And the continental glaciers are even smaller in size, which are found in the regions Pleistocene Ice Age. And this can be Canada, or this can be higher latitudes, plus third poles. What are third poles? That is on the top of mountains. On the top of high mountains. Remember, Himalayas ही नहीं है third pole. Third pole are all the top most glaciated regions of the world. Outside the polar region is known as an third pole. Fine. Getting it? Have you seen the notebook I shared on Telegram? Fine. Is it helpful? If it is helpful, I will continue. If it is not helpful, I will not continue. Helpful? उसमें से कुछ मेंस के है, कुछ प्रीलिम्स के है. अब टाइम होता तो मैं बैकग्राउंड इन्फॉर्मेशन भी देता, बट आई हैव नॉट गिवन यू दैट बैकग्राउंड इन्फॉर्मेशन. यू सर्च आउट द बैकग्राउंड इन्फॉर्मेशन on your own. So उसमें एक दो दिन में will surely are going to have an news article regarding the melting of ice caps and glaciers. Fine, because today in the IPSA summit, Prakash Javadekar has decided to make the country totally free from plastics, that is the single-use plastic. Yesterday in the Independence Day speech, Prime Minister Modi had said that we should not be using single-use plastic. Fine. Secondly, कल जाने के बाद इन द हिमालयन स्टेट्स, कल से प्राइम मिनिस्टर का भूटान टूर इज देयर, सो ही विल बी ओपनिंग अप एन हाइड्रो इलेक्ट्रिक पावर प्रोजेक्ट. सो यू शुड बी प्रिपेयर्ड फॉर वन क्वेश्चन कभी भी इस साल, नेक्स्ट ईयर, दैट इज व्हाट आर द इम्प्लीकेशंस and what are the benefits as well as challenges of the not hydroelectric power project, of international hydroelectric power projects between India and Nepal, India and China. That is, what are the implications, what are the positives, what are the negatives. Thirdly, because it is an Bhutan is a, so ये सब news आने वाली है. This 7-8 days newspaper will be very very important. Fine. Thirdly, you should be prepared for the third pole related news, because Bhutan country is going to face one of the problems of the melting of ice caps and glaciers. Fine. Fourthly, we today again you see IPSA summit में Prakash Javadekar, environment minister, is going. He says some days back, yesterday he says that the floods in Maharashtra are not due to the climate change. Getting it? But there is a report of 2017 that due to climate change, these areas are going to face floods in the next couple of years. Fine. So आज के हिंदू में वो रिपोर्ट आया है जो मैंने वो टेलीग्राम में शेयर किया है. There is a small this thing that the report had said that due to the climate change there will be such thing. एक छोटी न्यूज़ है आज की, that is against the views of Prakash Javadekar. The report had warned the government that there will be floods after 2-3 years due to the climate change related issues. Getting it? So ये सब ओपन रखना फ्रॉम अगस्त ऑनवर्ड्स द न्यूज़पेपर. फाइन. जून की एक आध न्यूज़ आएगी प्रीलिम्स में. नवंबर के बाद सबसे ज़्यादा न्यूज़ आएंगे इन द प्रिलिमिनरी एग्जामिनेशन, बट देयर विल बी सम न्यूज़ फ्रॉम अगस्त टू नवंबर ऑल्सो विच आर इम्पॉर्टेंट फॉर मेंस एंड प्रीलिम्स. मे बी अपने ऑप्शनल के लिए, मे नॉट बी आवर फॉर आवर ऑप्शनल. बट चीफ ऑफ डिफेंस स्टाफ जो पोस्ट है, यू कैन यूज इट. देर इज अ पेपर 2 में इन आवर सिलेबस, दैट इज द इंटरनेशनल अफेयर्स, टेररिज्म, नक्सलिज्म, इंटरनल सिक्योरिटी वाला पार्ट इज देयर इन आवर ऑप्शनल. यू कैन यूज इट देयर. फाइन. सो दिस आर द 3 areas from where the glacial landforms will be working, and this glaciers are working in 3 ways. The glaciers sometimes the They will be radiating from the central region to all the parts of the world, and thus there will be increase in the extent of the glaciers, and sometimes the glaciers may retreat. Now, to understand what is the questions, you should know what is the retreating of the glaciers. Glacier एक बार बनने के बाद, if उसका area grows, that is what we call it as an advancing of the glaciers. Yes? What is the central region? See, for even if there is an Arctic, if this is Himalayas, the glacier will be accumulated at the top of the Himalayas and it will flow from all the sides, even from the back, even on the sides. And this is why we say it is radiating from the central direction. Even if there is a landmass here, and even if the Arctic is glaciated or Antarctic is glaciated, the ice caps will move in all the directions, and therefore we say it is a central region. That is how the glaciers will advance. Secondly, the glaciers sometimes decrease in area, and this decrease in the area of the glacier is known as the retreating of the glaciers. Remember how the glaciers may retreat in an area, because ये टॉपिक यहाँ पे नहीं रुकेगा, ये टॉपिक फिर से हमको क्लाइमेटोलॉजी में पढ़ना है. The only thing we are not going to study is the landforms. The glaciers may retreat naturally, getting it, due to summer seasons. Winters may the glaciers will advance. In the winters the glaciers will advance. In the summer season the glaciers will retreat. Secondly, the glaciers may retreat naturally due to changes in the interglacial period. Matlab the cold period is followed by the warm period, again by the cold period, due to the fluctuation in the orbital eccentricity of the earth, that is fluctuations in the orbit of the earth. We study in general studies very superficially that the earth's orbit is inclined at 23.5 degree. In optional we are going to study ye 23.5 degree ka inclination keeps on changing, and this changes in the inclination of the earth results into the changes in the climate of the earth. Kabhi kabhi there is a warm period, kabhi kabhi there is an cold period, and this is what is known as an warm period is known as an interglacial period. So during the cold period, what are the glaciers going to do? They are going to advance. During the interglacial period, that is during the warm period, the glaciers are going to retreat. अब the problem is we are living in the interglacial period, and इसीलिए the glaciers are retreating due to global warming. Because we are in the interglacial period, this is controversial. Some scientists say that this is an interglacial period, that is, this is a warm phase in which obviously the glaciers are going to retreat, क्योंकि इससे पहले का cold phase was Pleistocene ice age, which has just ended. In the geological time scale, 11,000 साल पहले जो Pleistocene ice age ended, in the geological time scale, which is generally measured in billions, thousands is nothing. Getting it? Thousands is like yesterday. Getting it? So this is the controversial part. Second controversial part regarding the glaciation is that maybe the glaciers have also increased or are retreating at a faster pace from 1890s, 1850s onwards. That is from the Industrial Revolution, and this may be due to the anthropogenic reasons. Getting it? But the problem here is small glacial period ended in year 1800. That is, in the year 1800, you will again understand in climatology that half of the Europe was under the 3 glacial periods, जिसको कहते हैं mini ice age. So mini ice age has just ended 200 साल पहले. It started 200 साल पहले, 100 साल का mini ice age था, and it has got ended. क्यों था mini ice age? कैसे था ये? This is not geomorphology. This all is Milankovitch cycles, and that is a part of climate. Getting it? That is, but you have to understand, जब Mughal Empire था in India, or just before the start of Industrial Revolution, Earth was under the mini ice age. वो coincidence भी हो सकता है कि Industrial Revolution started after the end of mini ice age, and we are saying it is a global warming, but it can be reality also, because I have shared you an article today. I have shared you No, I have not shared it to you. Yeah, I have shared it with you today from Mint or from Hindu ka last page. I don't remember that July was the hottest month on record. Fine. So this is due to the global warming. Why I am sharing you these things? Because ये इतना open-ended topic है this part कि you won't be able to distinguish the answers questions कि ये GS का question है या ये optional का question है. Fine. But if it comes in optional, you will have to put some data. You will have to substantiate with data. अगर यही same answer GS में लिखोगे तो good, well enough. But GS का answer cannot come in optional. Optional का answer has to be different. It has to be substantiated with the data. Getting it? So here we are going to talk about the interglacial period, small glacial period, Milankovitch cycle, and from the same chapter comes the impact of Pleistocene ice age on the world's surface. But this part of the chapter we have already covered. What was the impact of Pleistocene ice age? Formation of Great Lakes, huge amount of pressure of the ice caps, and therefore isostatic imbalance was formed on the world. We have done this. Getting it? Now coming directly to the, but having a greater idea how the glaciers are important. See, जैसे global warming will become important, glaciers are going to be important. So if you look at the past year questions, understand how to do the analysis. देखो past year questions की Davis Penk तो हमेशा है, so वो part तो करके ही जाना है. फिर देखो पिछले 10 सालों में क्या पूछा है. Karst cycle of erosion has come thrice. But from 2015 onwards or 2014 onwards, karst नहीं पूछ रहे, they are asking continuous question on glaciation. There was a question on glaciation, Drumlin's basket of egg topography in 2015. 2016 में there was Peltier का what is known as periglacial cycle of erosion. What does it mean? It means that UPSC has shifted its focus on the glacial. Why it has shifted its focus on the glacial? Because climate change and global warming. Fine. Now you should know, you should be able to predict. अगर इस साल has there been flooding? कौन से part का flooding has occurred in India? Mostly southern states. Are they having coasts? Yes. So they may ask you next year, yeah, this year coastal cycle of erosion. It is in our syllabus, but they have not asked it, they have asked it only once, coastal cycle of erosion. Can it come again? Yes, it can come again. Fine. So this is how you try to analyze the paper. अगर इस साल नहीं आता coastal cycle of erosion, then next year. Getting it? How do the glaciers impact the landforms? क्या क्या करेंगे glaciers on impacting the landforms? How do they impact? We have just written something at the start of the lecture. Glaciers will impact the landform through abrasion, through corrosion or abrasion, through scratching and through plucking. This is one way. दूसरा 50,000 square kilometer is the area of an ice cap or ice sheet. 50,000 square kilometers से ज़्यादा. And how much is thick ice is? At least 5 to 6 kilometers thick that ice is. So imagine, does it put pressure on the landform? Yes. And because it puts the pressure on the landforms, will the landforms undergo submergence in that region? And because of extreme pressure on the landforms, नीचे का magma दबेगा, वो दबा हुआ मैग्मा कहीं दूसरी जगह आके इरप्ट हो जाएगा. सो कैन आई से ये सारे रीजन्स में, व्हाई आई एम सेइंग यू ऑल दिस, ये सारा बुक्स में नहीं है. फाइन. दिस सविंद्र सिंह हैज जस्ट वन लाइन ऑन दिस, खुल्लर हैज नो लाइन ऑन दिस, एंड बिकॉज ये बुक्स में नहीं है तो मेरे प्रिंटेड नोट्स में नहीं है. फाइन. सो यू हैव टू think in 3 ways. कहाँ पे यूज होगा, कहीं पे भी यूज हो सकता है, मे बी इन योर आंसर टू मेक अ डिफरेंट पॉइंट, और मे बी a question can directly come, fine, and you will be able to write something on that question, if not nothing. Low energy cost etc जैसे ये questions आ रहे. Let us see how difficult the paper is this year. Fine, it should be always of a moderate difficulty level for results to come. Getting it? So the glacier impacts the landforms by its methods of erosion, and these methods of erosion include abrasion, second, striations, or scratching, and thirdly, plucking. Secondly, glaciers impact the landform by putting or by increasing tremendous amounts of super incumbent load. And this causes changes in isostasy. लिख सकते हो इसके ऊपर एक पैराग्राफ, how it changes the isostasy? Huge amount of ice. Fine, लिख सकते हो. अब अगर समझ में आया है तो you'll be able to tell me the answer of this. Does global warming cause landslides? Yes. Does it cause floods? Right? Does it cause droughts? Yes. Can it cause earthquakes? Can it cause tsunamis and volcanoes? Is global warming related to earthquakes, tsunamis and volcanoes? Increasing global warming, will it be related to earthquakes, tsunamis and volcanoes? Yes or no? Bas. Yes, how? Yes, isostasy, pressure will change, and therefore the earth will try to readjust itself. As the Arctic ice cap is melting, when the speed of the Arctic ice cap will increase, so क्या होगा, अर्थ के ऊपर का प्रेशर कम हो जाएगा, एंड जैसे अर्थ के ऊपर का प्रेशर कम हो जाएगा, देयर विल बी वेदरिंग ऑफ द रॉक्स, एंड बिकॉज ऑफ द वेदरिंग ऑफ द रॉक्स उस पार्ट का अर्थ जो नीचे सबमर्ज्ड है ड्यू टू द लोड वो ऊपर आएगा, एंड बिकॉज वो ऊपर आएगा, it can be at the sea floor, it can be on the land. If it is occurring on the land, earthquakes. If it is occurring below the sea floor, it will result into tsunamis. Getting it? This is why global warming, and remember now this is 2019 का study only. मतलब पिछले साल तक अगर किसी को पूछते ग्लोबल वार्मिंग से अर्थक्वेक, सुनामी एंड वॉल्केनोस रिलेटेड है क्या, वो कहता ग्लोबल वार्मिंग इज एन एक्सोजेनेटिक प्रोसेस, अर्थक्वेक, सुनामी एंड वॉल्केनोस आर एंडोजेनेटिक प्रोसेस. बट नाउ द स्टडीज हैव कंफर्म्ड दैट सुनामीज विल इंक्रीज ड्यू टू ग्लोबल वार्मिंग. हाउ? Because we are changing the isostatic balance. Arctic ice cap is melting, so इसके ऊपर का pressure is melting. जैसे ये pressure निकल गया, this earth will come up. जैसे ही earth will come up, there will be shaking of the earth, and that is earthquakes and volcanoes. Fine? So just put one line here that isostatic readjustment, isostatic readjustment isostatic readjustment will cause tectonic upliftment, tectonic upliftment, and hence increasing earthquakes including undersea earthquakes, increase in the earthquakes including undersea earthquakes, comma, volcanoes, and tsunamis. Yes. Because there was sudden increase in the pressure on the earth, and therefore lower part of the earth experienced volcanic eruptions in the Cretaceous period or in the Pleistocene period. Fine. And third thing, can they dissolve the rocks? मैंने जानबूझ के कलर अलग लिखा है. Can they dissolve the rocks like water? Ablation is the technical word for melting of the glaciers. So now tell me the answer. Can they dissolve the rocks like water? Yes, yes. Prepare the fluvio-glacial topography separately for short notes. Fine? Give me a minute. Getting it? सिर्फ कीवर्ड्स याद रखना. सुपर इनकम्बेंट लोड, ablation, retreat, advancement of the glaciers and fluvio-glacial topography. What? Change in the base level? Yes, yes. If the melting is there, then there will be increase in the sea level. If there is a freezing, then there will be decrease in the sea level. Fine? तो अच्छा ठीक है. Just a minute. Unlike the water, we are not going to study any of the landforms here. Just like caste हम करेंगे, we are not going to study any of the landforms in youth, mature and old age. We are just going to study the landforms in the terms of erosional and depositional. Obviously, erosional landforms matlab youthful stage. I'll explain you the landforms. You remember the photos which I have seen, and then likhne ki zarurat nahi unless I will make you, if I make you write. You can take the running notes if you want. Fine. So, sabse pehle a mountain is caused by folding, and this is how the mountain has become. Getting it? And this is how the mountain has got converted into. Now, if this mountain becomes a glaciated mountain, the glacier will start running from all the sides. Yahan pe you remember, glacier will work in two ways. One process of glaciation is abrasion, and the other process of glaciation is plucking. By the process of plucking, the glacier will remove the big rocks. जैसे ही ग्लेशियर ऐसे नीचे आ रहा है, it will pluck मतलब छीन लेना. Fine? It is going to remove the big huge masses of the rocks, and as a result of this, the sides of the mountain will become very, very steep. It is, everything is there in the notes, but you try to understand, the notes ka language are a bit difficult. Fine? So by the process of plucking, the sides of the mountains will become very steep, and by the process of abrasion, the sum of the bottoms of a mountain will become very deep, and as a result of this, aise lagega someone has cut this mountain, and this mountain will resemble by the process of plucking and by the process of abrasion. This mountain ka one side will resemble as if somebody has removed the mountain, and yahan se the glacier will be moving. So this part of a mountain which has become very steep and has been removed is what is known as CWM or Kori. क्या हुआ है? The mountain has become armchair shaped mountain. मतलब ये जो side है, I am showing you here how it is becoming. यहाँ से remove हो गया. Fine. क्या हुआ? The mountain has started to become very, very steep. It is no longer the straight mountain. It has started to become very, very steep, and uska floors become very deep because glacier ऐसे move करेगा. And this mountain becomes somewhat like this in shape, and you will call this as CWM or Kori. Where is the glacier? Glacier is coming from this direction. When the two Koris cut back in opposite direction, the peak of a mountain becomes very steep. This is again second Kori which has been formed. So I am making the second Kori here. And this is how the glacier is flowing. Fine. The peaks of the mountain will become very, very steep. Abhi thoda confusion nikal deta hu. You will understand how. Blue color is the glacier. Blue color is the glacier. The peak of the mountains will become very, very steep, and this is what is known as an pyramidal peak. Getting it? So, हमारा जो माउंटेन था, किसी ने यहाँ से स्कूप निकाल दिया रॉक्स को, किसी ने यहाँ से स्कूप निकाल दिया, and therefore this mountain has become a glaciated mountain in which the glacier is moving from the sides. रॉक सिर्फ यहीं पे बचा है, रॉक सिर्फ यहीं पे बचा है, रॉक सिर्फ यहीं पे बचा है. There is rocks only over here. Baki ka sides have been removed by the glacier, and this is how the glacier is moving. This is how the glacier is moving in two different directions, and this is how the mountain has become. So you will call this each individual side as Kori, the peak as pyramidal peak. While when the two glaciers cut back in opposite direction, the sharp knife-like boundary of a mountain, which was normal, which was not knife-like, because this all region was once a rock. So this boundary of a mountain becomes very, very sharp, and it is known as arêtes. Understanding what is CWM, what is scorie, what is arêtes? What are arêtes? When the two or more glaciers cut back in opposite direction, the boundary of a mountain becomes very, very sharp. Just imagine कि ice cream का triangle है. You are just taking a scoop out of here. You are taking another scoop out of here. So will the बीच में का part become very sharp? So that is what is known as an arêtes. Getting it? What is a pyramidal peak? The pyramidal peak is the peak of a mountain in the glaciated region. It is angular in shape. It is very, very sharp. Reason? Because of the glaciers cutting back in opposite directions. Example, Mount Everest. Example, Nanda Devi. Example, Mont Blanc. Example, Mount McKinley. Should I say the example again? Mont Blanc, the highest peak of Alps. McKinley, the highest peak of USA, or the highest peak of Rockies. Getting it? Fine with this? So दो तीन keywords सिर्फ मैं dictate करूंगा आंसर के लिए. You take the heading as and draw the diagrams from the diagrams I am making here, not the diagrams of the notes. Getting it? Because you won't be able to draw this diagram. Fine? Why I am not directly giving you Savindra Singh ka that part as a Xerox? Because Savindra Singh says that there are two schools of glaciation. One school says that snow is very, very soft, and that snow being soft, it does not have a power of glaciation, while the other school says that the snow can erode the materials. This is technically wrong because glacier is never a snow. Glacier is fun or new. What is the difference between snow and new? Fun or new is ice. What is the difference between snow and ice? Snow is always soft, ice is always hard. Getting it? So इसीलिए उस बुक्स में से मैं वो चैप्टर डायरेक्टली रेफरेंस के लिए नहीं दे सकता, अदरवाइज इट इज़ अ वेरी गुड पार्ट. बट उसमें बाकी फालतू की चीज़ें ज़्यादा है कि ये स्कूल ने ये कहा, वो स्कूल ने वो कहा, हमें इसकी इतनी इम्पोर्टेंस नहीं है. फाइन. सो फर्स्ट इज द erosional landforms of glaciation. First is cirque. Cirque. सिर्फ कीवर्ड्स दे रहा हूं. U-shaped glacial trough. It is U-shaped glacial trough. U-shaped glacial trough, TROUGH, trough मतलब गड्ढा. Second, it is also known as scorie. It is also known as scorie. Third, formed due to steepening of walls. Steepening of walls. Steepening of the walls by the process of plucking. Steepening of the walls by the process of plucking. and basal sapping, or abrasion of the surface, basal sapping or abrasion of the surface, basal sapping or abrasion of the surface. Next, cories generally do not have cories generally do not have any sediments should I write the spelling of cory? कोरी एंड सर्क एक ही है, दो तीन वर्ड्स दे रहा हूं. जनरली डू नॉट हैव एनी सेडिमेंट्स. थर्ड पॉइंट, when two or more cories cut back in opposite direction, a sharp ridge like feature is formed. A sharp ridge like ridge like feature is formed, known as arêtes. आगे लिखो, theories of the formation of the cories. Not required. Fine, so you can draw the diagram. We have not finished the cory, but you can draw the diagram. In the glaciers, try to use blue and black color, otherwise examiner को Can I continue? Understanding this diagram? Have you seen Good Day biscuit का पैक कभी पूरा खोल के? How are the biscuits arranged? Vertically, horizontally? Vertically या horizontally? Vertically. Fine. So biscuits के top दिखते हैं, उसके बाद में gap रहती है. Now remember, ऐसे 1000 arêtes are there in the single, ऐसे 1000 pyramidal peaks are there. So there are numerous cori. जो भी mountain है, they will be made into cori. So इस topography का नाम है कुछ नहीं. अगर बिस्किट बोर्ड टोपोग्राफी क्वेश्चन आता है एरेट्स, यू हैव टू राइट अ शॉर्ट नोट ऑन द सर्क एंड एरेट्स. एक ही शॉर्ट नोट में. सर्क आर द पीक्स, आर द माउंटेन्स. इमेजिन अ ग्लेशिएटेड रीजन, पूरा वाइट है, सिर्फ बीच में का जहां जहां देर आर माउंटेन्स यू विल सी ब्लैक एरिया ऑफ द रॉक्स, अदरवाइज इट इज एंटायरली वाइट. सो यू कॉल दिस एज अ बिस्किट बोर्ड टोपोग्राफी. गेटिंग इट? There is no sense in that. उन्होंने नाम दिया है बिस्किट बोर्ड टोपोग्राफी, जैसे ड्रमलिन्स बास्केट ऑफ एग टोपोग्राफी. Berggrund. It's again a German word. That is the crack. That is the crack. Berggrund. Can I continue? Where did I stop? Are known as arêtes. Next point. Next point. The sharp pointed top. Same circ में ही लिखना है. The sharp pointed top. The sharp pointed top is known as pyramidal peak or horn. Is known as pyramidal peak or horn. Example, Mount Everest. Mount Kailash, Nanda Devi, Badrinath, whatever you have to write, सारे all are an example of an horn. And इसीलिए ये इतने sharp है, steep है, इसीलिए यहाँ पे climbing is so difficult. Had it been normal mountain, it would have been rounded, but now it has become very steep by the process of plucking. Getting it? So अगर कोई question आता है, no need of writing in technical language, but there is a question on Mount Everest or there is a question on death in the glaciation region, you can use this knowledge कि this any glaciated mountains are very sharp and steep. Getting it? Next point. After the melting of the glacier, imagine this glacier has now melted. क्या हो जाएगा? It will get converted into water. So can I say, अब glacier तो आराम से जा रहा है, but water will get collected here, right? So after the melting of the glacier, a lake is formed. in the cirque known as Tarn Lake. Lake is formed in the cirque known as Tarn Lake. Tarn Lake. And the last point, sometimes during the summers, a very deep crack is formed at the head of a glacier. A very deep crack is formed at the head of a glacier, known as Bergschrund. Known as Bergschrund. Known as Bergschrund. Second erosional landform is proper U-shaped valley. Why? You tell me, why U-shaped valley? Mansarovar Lake is a Tarn Lake. Mansarovar Lake is a Tarn Lake. Rakas Lake is a Tarn Lake. Why U-shaped valley? Why not V-shaped valley? Because of the load of the ice, or because of ice not being liquid. So therefore it cannot go down. Whenever it is going down, it is going to erode whatever comes in a path. So ये आ जाएगा एक क्वेश्चन, मैंने बोला दिमाग में क्वेश्चन रखो, डिफरेंस इन द प्रॉपर्टीज ऑफ मैटर एंड हाउ इट हैज रिजल्टेड इनटू डिफरेंट लैंडफॉर्म्स. सो वी शेप्ड वैलीज, पानी ऐसे वाटर कैन टेक एनी शेप, solid will retain its shape, and because the solid is retaining its shape, whenever it is going downwards, जो उसका shape है वैसी valley बनेगी. So U-shaped valley. Fine. So दो word यहाँ पे लिखना सिर्फ. It is characterized by steep walls and flat floors. Characterized by steep walls and flat floors. Generally U-shaped valleys are modification of existing V-shaped valleys. Which were earlier found by the rivers. But after glaciation got converted into U-shaped valleys. Next point, the tributary glaciers will join the main glacier. By its U-shaped valley, which the tributary glacier erodes. As per its base level. Such U-shaped valleys of the tributary glaciers. Such U-shaped valleys of the tributary glaciers. Such U-shaped valleys of the tributary glaciers. Which are found at the local base level. Local base level and higher height. Found at the local base level and higher height. Are known as hanging valleys. Are known as hanging valleys. This hanging valleys are the sites of natural waterfalls. Are the sites of natural waterfalls. Are the sites of natural waterfalls. Can you make this diagram? Glaciers are not important, are not difficult, उसका diagrams are difficult. Concept is very easy. लग रहा है hanging valley? But books में local base level नहीं दिया है. आने दो आंसर में local base level. The sole purpose of dictation is to tell you how to make the diagrams. अगर दो माउंटेन नहीं बना सकते, एक बनाओ. ये भी बनाएं तो चलेगा. No need of making this diagram, I just want to show you something. See, you don't have to be artist, थोड़ा बहुत लगना चाहिए. हैंगिंग वैली ऐसा ज़रूरी नहीं. मेन ग्लेशियल ट्रफ, ठीक है. यहाँ पे आफ्टर द मेल्टिंग ऑफ ग्लेशियर्स देयर इज वाटर एंड दिस वाटर हैज रिजल्टेड इनटू लेक. यस, ट्रिब्यूटरी ग्लेशियर से उनकी कोरी है एंड दिस इज हाउ द वाटर इज फ्लोइंग एंड देन एज अ वाटरफॉल इट इज जॉइनिंग द लेक. Glacier has melted, waterfall, it is joining the lake. Glacier has melted, like a waterfall, it is joining a lake. Imagine the same thing happening from the other sides. So the Tarn Lake of the main glacial and the Tarn Lake of the tributary glaciers, when they join together, they will result into formation of ribbon lake. क्यों ribbon lake? क्योंकि थोड़ा बहुत टॉप व्यू रिबन जैसा दिखता है. ये पानी यहाँ पे है, देन छोटा छोटा वाटरफॉल झरना यहाँ पे मिल रहा है, वाटरफॉल, एंड देन देयर इज अ बिग लेक एट द टॉप, बिग लेक एट द टॉप. दिस इज व्हाट इज द रिबन लेक और फिंगर लेक. Why finger lake? Fine. So point here. Finish drawing this. See, this is the easiest of all the diagram as compared to this diagram. The Tarn lakes of the tributary glaciers and the main glacier. The Tarn lake of the tributary glacier and the main glacier. Join together to form ribbon or finger lakes. To form ribbon or finger lakes. Form the ribbon or finger lakes. Ribbon or the finger lakes. Fine with this? The next landform is Roche Mountain. Not that important, I am not dictating. We'll do that, you will do that from the notes. मैं सिर्फ आपको process बता रहा हूँ. Now this is a rock or this is a hilly mountain region which is in the mature stage या in the lowland region. मतलब it is not in the highland region जहाँ पे the glacier has originated. This may be like Aravallis जो है flat topography पे. Initially this mountain was very big. अब when the glacier has come up, glacier ऐसे ही आ रहा है and this is how the glacier is moving then upwards. It is not getting eroded and then after crossing that the glacier is coming downwards. As the glacier is moving upwards, इस surface को बहुत ज़्यादा polish करेगा, scratch करेगा, abrade करेगा. So this surface will become very very smooth. Fine. And यहाँ पे आने के बाद when the glacier will start falling downwards at great speed, कुछ rocks को तोड़ेगा. So the lower part will become very steep and it will be highly eroded. And thus the original mountain will be reduced in height to form a kind of a mountain surface जिसको हम कहेंगे Roche Mountain. So the diagram itself is more than enough to write about the Roche Mountain. Understanding how this process has been formed? This talks about the direction of the glacier. Just remember, it is smooth by abrasion and it is rough due to plucking. This is how an original mountain will be reduced in size, Roche Mountain. And again, such topography is commonly found in peninsular India. Evidences of glaciation. Dictation की ज़रूरत नहीं है. It's very easy. Fine. What is a Roche Mountain? It is also known as शिप स्किन टोपोग्राफी. पहले के ज़माने में लोग ऐसे स्वेटर पहनते थे पूरे के पूरे, कंबल उसके जैसा दिखता है. दैट इज वाई शिप स्किन टोपोग्राफी. इससे क्या पता लगता है कौन से डायरेक्शन में ग्लेशियर हैज मूव्ड. प्रेजेंट इज की टू द पास्ट. If you find one side is rough, one side is smooth, and if you find this feature, means the glacier was coming from this side. Had this been water, I am not even drawing, you know, had this been water तो क्या होता, पानी आता, water divide बन जाता. Getting it? Obviously, this is a tough rock. That is why it has not been eroded. Understanding why diagrams. Just make sure that the diagrams are proper. Much better than the book. Understand? This is a vegetation, or this can be a rock. Imagine in desert, the speed of the wind is reduced. The speed of the wind reduces, and therefore sand starts getting collected here. Because of the सबसे ज़्यादा speed of the wind कहाँ पे reduce होगा? shrub के पास. So इसलिए ज़्यादा sand यहाँ पे collect होगी, यहाँ पे कम sand होगी. अब once the sand has got collected here, next time when the wind is blowing, again due to friction, the speed of the wind is reduced. Again the speed of the wind is reduced. Speed of the wind is reduced, and therefore क्या बनेंगे? Sand dunes. Once the hills of the sand become very big in size, some part of this sand will start falling downwards, and it will start collecting at the bottom, and thus this shape will be formed in the sand dunes. Is it not similar? वहाँ पे sand dunes है, यहाँ पे Roche mountain है. And there is something different. Crag and tail topography is something different. Again, this, what is a crag? Crag is a very huge rock. So our shading will be different. A glacier is coming down, it is stopped by the rock. Glacier, remember, is not in the youthful stage, therefore uska erosional capacity is slightly lesser. It has started becoming water. As it is coming here, it is stopped, and therefore it starts depositing the sediments. So this is how the layer of the sediments have started to getting deposited. जैसे glacier आएगा, glacier की height बढ़ेगी, and then the glacier will start falling downwards. It will start going downwards. That is, the water-like waterfall will start falling downwards. And as it starts falling downwards, it will form. The sediments will be deposited in this direction. This kind of an unique topography which is found in the glaciated regions, in which, unlike the Roche mountain, the side which faces the glacier is steep. यहाँ पे the side which faces the glacier is smooth, and the other side is smooth. यहाँ पे the other side is rough. This is what is known as an crag and tail topography. So obviously our shadings for both will be different, because these are the sediments, and इसीलिए यहाँ की शेडिंग अलग होगी and यहाँ की शेडिंग अलग होगी. डोंट वरी, ये सब नोट्स में से करना है. पहले आप पढ़ना, अगर नहीं समझ में आया तो मुझे पूछ लेना. and I had shown you iska photo also. Royal Road, Royal this thing, this is what is the crag and tail topography. This is what is the crag. Crag means a rock. जैसे windward side and leeward side होता है in the winds, वैसे this is the up glacial side and down glacial side. If you can see, I am taking the diagrams from the GC Leong, but we are taking the content from Savindra Singh. मतलब optional के ये diagrams जो easy है, they are in good in GC Leong. You cannot make the diagrams which are in Savindra Singh, etc. They are just three-dimensional photos of something. But GC Leong का content is too basic. Obviously, in the optional, the content of GC Leong won't work. The content should be of the books. Prepare yourself for, again, short note on this versus this. Questions direct होंगे यहाँ से. Clear? Only this part is tough. Winds में कुछ है ही नहीं. मशरूम रॉक क्या पढ़ाना है? You already know. डायग्राम भी बताने की जरूरत नहीं. यार्दांग्स बताने की जरूरत नहीं. सैंड ड्यून्स बताने की जरूरत नहीं. Fine. Only this part is tough because we have not seen these parts. That is why it is tough. Can I rub this part? If you can imagine cycle of erosion, youthful stage, Sir Kori, mature stage, Broshe Mountains, and old age, ये जो depositional, यही है cycle of erosion of the glaciers. Getting it? बट रिमेंबर नोट्स जो मिलेंगे उसके बाद इट्स योर होमवर्क. जब भी छुट्टी का दिन है, जब भी टाइम है, टू नोट डाउन दोज पॉइंट्स एंड राइट इट इन द बुक. फाइन. नहीं तो क्या होता है, प्रिंटेड मटेरियल गुम हो जाता है and then you don't find anything. So that is obviously your own work. Now what is a moraine? Moraine, just like alluvial soil, we have moraines here. So moraine is nothing but the sediments that is formed due to glaciation. Glaciation के दो टाइप के sediments होते हैं. Very fine sediments are known as still. Somewhat coarse sediments, comparatively coarse sediments are known as moraines. So moraine is nothing but eroded rock debris. जैसे glacier is moving, it will erode the rock debris. For example, if this is a path of a glacier, ये rock है, This is another rock. Fine. And if the glacier is moving in this direction, particular direction, this is the glacier. So yahan pe the sediments will be deposited along the sides of the glacier. I'll take an example like this. This is a mountain range and the glacier is coming like this. So the sediments will be deposited along the sides of the mountains. Why? Because the glacier will, see, this is a top view. Glacier is coming down, it is eroding, and therefore we will find some sediments which are being collected here, and this is one kind of an moraine. Similarly, here there will be the sediments which are collected. Similarly, if a glacier is coming from here and यहाँ पे एक दूसरा mountain है, will there be sediments which will be deposited along the sides? Will there be sediments here along the sides? If this is a glacier and if this is a glacier, if both join together, the sediments यहाँ पे बीच में होंगे but कम होंगे. Fine. And ultimately जब glacier end होगा तो sediments ऐसे collect हो जाएंगे. So remember, diagram से भी याद रखो. This is lateral moraine along the side. This is lateral moraine along the sides. When two lateral moraines join together, this is medial moraines. This is end moraine or terminal moraine. And why it is always tongue-like in shape? Because the central part is not experiencing friction, and therefore central part is moving at a greater speed, and therefore it is always tongue-like in shape. This is a top view. Glacier is obviously going through a U-shaped valley, and it is eroding the U-shaped valley. And if this glacier is moving from the top of a U-shaped valley, we are not showing water, we are showing the glacier. Lateral moraine along the sides, medial moraine यहाँ कहीं दो अगर, if the two glaciers meet, तो ही उनके बीच there will be medial moraine, but there is also erosion of the ground जो हमें कभी नहीं दिखता, and this is what is known as an ground moraines. And जैसे ग्लेशियर की स्पीड कम हो जाएगी, रिमेंबर ये है माय फर्स्ट केस, ग्लेशियर ऐसे बना. अब द अमाउंट ऑफ ग्लेशिएशन हैज रिड्यूस्ड, मे बी ड्यू टू ग्लोबल वार्मिंग, सो द लेंथ ऑफ द ग्लेशियर हैज रिड्यूस्ड, द लेंथ ऑफ द ग्लेशियर हैज रिड्यूस्ड, and this will be retreating moraine. Word नहीं है, word is, I just gave the retreating moraine so that you understand. Even without me teaching, you can write a short note on the moraines. What are moraines? Moraines are rock debris that is eroded by the glaciers. There are different types of moraines. Lateral moraine. When the sides of the glacial valleys are eroded, lateral moraines are formed. When two or more lateral moraines join together, they form the medial moraine. Terminal moraine. At the end of a glacier is the terminal moraine. It is always in shaped, stout or tongue-like in shape because the central part moves with a greater speed. Ground moraine. When the base of a valley is eroded, the moraine which is never visible is the ground moraine. Due to global warming or due to warming, natural warming, as the glaciers are retreating, then the recessional moraine is being formed. Recessional moraine talks about once upon time which part was under the glaciation. Itna आसान है. So glacier is not that tough, it is just that you have to just imagine. Understood? Obviously the glacier is moving downwards. Understanding everyone? No need of this diagram. ग्राउंड मोरेन वैसे भी कभी दिखेगा नहीं तो डायग्राम बनाने की जरूरत नहीं. Had this been river, तो this sediments would have got easily dissolved in water and अलग जगह जाते. You cannot distinguish between the sediments of Ganga and Yamuna after they join. कि गंगा में ये कोसी का सेडिमेंट है, ये यमुना का है, ये ऐसे कभी डिस्टिंग्विश नहीं हो सकता, बट हमेशा ग्लेशियर्स में होगा. क्या ये सेकंड एग्जाम्पल नहीं है वो क्वेश्चन जो मैंने सॉल्व करने दिया है उसका? डिफरेंस इन द प्रॉपर्टीज ऑफ मैटर एंड डिफरेंट लैंड फॉर्म्स. Can I continue? Drumlins or basket of egg topography or the Whaleback Mountains. Now, how is the whale ka back? Can I say it is like this? one side is elongated, the one side is steep. That is same like Roche Mountains, but थोड़ा elongated. Now why whaleback topography? इसके लिए printed notes नहीं है. I will have to dictate this. This is bit tough. Fine. Drumlins. Drumlins are known as basket of egg topography because they are always found in groups. How the drumlins have been formed itself is controversial, because there are three different types of groups of geomorphologists which say drumlins have been formed due to different processes. We cannot say drumlin is just depositional landform, because it is both erosional and depositional landform. Fine. Some people say this is the whaleback hummock. Some people say that once the glacier has started melting, it will form sediments. And when the glacier will melt, this sediments glacier will get converted into river. And when the river will start moving away, river always engages in sorting of the sediments. That is, fine sediments are carried by the river while the coarse sediments remain there. So, जो region के fine sediments है, they will be carried by the river, and as a result, ये region ऐसे बन जाएगा. जहाँ से पानी निकल गया, फाइन सेडिमेंट्स निकल गए. जहाँ से पानी नहीं निकला, रह गए. Fine sediments निकल गए, and thus the entire landform gets converted into the basket of egg topography. सबसे पहले why it is known as the basket of egg topography, because अगर आपने अंडे का ट्रे देखा है, तो it has some similar part. This is the egg, this is the egg, this is the egg, which make a खाली area. Fine. So drumlins I will have to dictate. बाकी और मुझे कुछ डिक्टेट करने की जरूरत नहीं, एस्कर्स भी डिक्टेट करने की जरूरत नहीं. फाइन. सो ड्रमलिन्स. These are swamps. What do you mean by swamps? Group of rounded hills having whaleback appearance, Next point, they are made generally of glacial till, याद है continental drift theory, till deposits, they are made generally of the glacial till. कुछ नहीं, when the moraines are further broken down, it is known as till. Fine. They are generally made up of glacial till. They look like inverted spoon. And are ellipsoid in shape. There is no diagram for drumlin, so don't worry about the diagram. एक जो डायग्राम है वो यही है, मैं थोड़ा इसको फाइन ट्यून करके दूंगा. नेक्स्ट, द drumlins have an upstream side having a gentle slope, having a steeper slope, upstream side having a steeper slope, while the downstream side has a gentle slope. Roche Mountains में क्या है? Upstream side has a gentle slope and downstream side has a steep slope. याद रखना, drumlins और Roche Mountain का comparison आ सकता है, because many people thought that these are Roche Mountains only. second paragraph. Drumlins are not found in all the glaciated regions of the world. Drumlins are not found in all the glaciated regions of the world, but are restricted to Europe and North American continents. Are restricted to Europe and North American continents. Next paragraph. There, because they always occur in the groups, drumlins are commonly known as basket of egg topography. Drumlins are commonly known as basket of egg topography. Basket of egg topography. Draw this diagram. अगर मैं आपको साइड प्रोफाइल दिखाऊंगा तो ड्रमलिन हमेशा कॉफिन जैसा लगेगा. Both the diagrams should come in the examination, right? Look at some past year toppers के question. Both the diagrams are there in the examination. This is the top view of a drumlin. Side view, ये ऐसा है. Top view, and then it gets fine. Now by looking at the top view, can you realize that it is nothing but पहले glacier ने, it has been deposited by the glacier and hence it is a depositional landform, and once river started forming, river fine sediments को लेके गई और उसमें से fine sediments were carried by the river but coarse sediments आगे deposit होते जाए because river was moving and they started. See, imagine कि once the glacier has started, ended, then after the glacier has ended, after the end of an ice age, therefore the river started moving, and as the river started moving, river started carrying the sediments. River coarse sediments, fine sediments, very fine sediments, and the finest sediments are then carried by the river. And that is why I say elongated shape, because now river valley will start becoming narrower and narrower. गेटिंग इट? आई विल हैव टू एंड द क्लास टुडे. जो भी ये देने हैं आंसर सबमिटेड टू मी. आई हैव अपॉइंटमेंट विद द डॉक्टर एट 5:30. फाइन. सो डॉक्टर का अपॉइंटमेंट बहुत आसानी से मिलता नहीं है. दैट इज़ वाई विराज सर वॉज कॉलिंग मी कि 5:30 बजे अपॉइंटमेंट मिल गया है, जल्दी आ जाओ. सर को भी टेंशन है क्योंकि अगर मैं बेड रेस्ट पे चला गया, ऑप्शनल का तो ठीक है, जीएस के सारे बैचेस बचे हैं. हाँ, यस, कल क्लास. टुमारो यू विल गेट ऑल द हैंडआउट्स. डेजर्ट्स में टाइम नहीं लगेगा, सो टुमारो विल बी द लास्ट लेक्चर ऑफ जियोमॉर्फोलॉजी.